is a hell of a lot better than Terrence Steele, who we just signed to a massive deal. Like if you're going to be giving out massive deals to stars, this is the star. This is the guy that is worth the money. And we know this, Pete. Everybody knows this. In NFL football, there are two positions you should pay premium for. Two, quarterback, and pass rusher. And here's the deal. Dak is the 16th best quarterback in the NFL, and we're paying him like a star. Micah Parsons is a top 3 pass rusher. Nobody disputes that. Yeah. He is a top 3 pass rusher in the sport. Pay the man. Pay him. And what I would say to bear the truth about in the era, start over, rebuild, bear the truth, you can't rebuild until Dak is off this team. You can't rebuild until that contract is off the books. So yes, I'm with you on rebuild. We need to cut bait with Dak if he doesn't get us to the promised land this season and draft a rookie and build around a rookie. That's how you can really reset the salary cap, pay a quarterback a lower number. But you got to have Micah Parsons is a top 3 pass rusher in the NFL. Pay him. Talk to his freaking agent. What are we doing?
Yeah, look, I couldn't agree with you more. And I think what the one aspect I think that the Cowboys are leaning on, and Kyle Yeomans shared it with us yesterday from Oxnard. By the way, we have Brad Sham lined up for Tuesday. So he'll talk to us again. We'll have another Cowboys guy, the play-by-play guy, obviously legendary Brad Sham, talk to us. And of course, we'll ask him about this, depending on where it is right now, because it seems pretty fluid, or where it is there. The organization feels like they have a ton of leverage because they have him through 26. And, this year he's making $25 million, which is not like a pauper, and I understand these guys want to get paid what they're worth. And this is not like he's reinventing the wheel here. Micah Parsons is, but it sounds like the Cowboys have this dude over a barrel. And Stephen A. Smith said this yesterday, and I'm not saying that Michael Parsons or anybody are taking their cues from Stephen A. Smith, but he said the only way that he'll get through to the Cowboys is by literally leaving training camp and defecting from the team.
And
he said, because Stephen A. said that's the only thing that Jerry Jones will understand. And that's the only thing that'll get through to him. And here we are 24 hours later. I hate to say that Stephen A. had a crystal ball, or maybe he had a source, but here we are.
And you know what sucks the worst about that, Pete? The worst about that. Maybe not the worst, but it added element. Jerry was running his mouth last week about how if guys want to get paid like leaders, they have to act like leaders. Well, guess what? Micah Parsons could have held out months ago. Micah Parsons doesn't have to be at training camp. Micah Parsons could have demanded a trade 2 weeks ago. He hasn't. So Jerry's talking out of both sides of his mouth. Well, he's got to act like a leader if he's going to get paid like a leader. But now you are forcing his hand here. You are forcing him to be a distraction. You are forcing him to hold. And you're right. Sure, he could shut up and just play for the money. But here's the deal. I'll just say it again. There are two positions in the NFL that are a premium, that teams do pay for, and it is the expectation, right or wrong, that you sign these deals with these guys to get them their money. It's quarterbacks and pass rushers. You get the deal done. TJ Watt just got his done with the Steelers. That's how a competent, functional organization does it. We're seeing what's happening with the Bengals with another great pass rusher. I'm forgetting the guy's name.
Hendrickson.
Thank you. Yeah. Incompetent. Look, who do the Cowboys want to be? Do you want to be more like the Bengals or the Steelers? Yeah. Apparently, we're trying to be more like Cincinnati, which isn't a surprise given 20 years of history at this point. But it is agonizing as a fan. And you finally hit the nail on the head last week when you said I'm finally starting to understand why Cowboys fans get so fed up and think Jerry doesn't want to win. It's bull crap like this. Yeah. And again, for me, it's not that you're struggling to get a deal done. Negotiations are negotiations. It's I don't even have to talk to his agent. And it leads to this. Is Micah Parsons going to demand a trade because you are such a piece of crap? I'm struggling to contain my language and to be kind right now. You are such an entitled child. Oh my God, that you won't even speak to a guy's agent.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like this is going to come to an end anytime soon. And again, once as the world turns in Oxnard, and then it'll be as the world turns at the Star. And subconsciously, Jerry has to love this. I don't care what anybody says, and it does get back to the point that you've made so often that like Do-Re-Mi doesn't equate to Super Bowl trophies for fans. And like that is where there's a disconnect between Jerry Jones and his fan base. I think I always use the term, and I stole it from Murph years ago, but like these teams are public trusts. Like the winning or losing really kind of affects like the society around you. Like you don't have to talk to a sociologist to understand that. It is what it is. If you have a bunch of fans who bleed Dallas Cowboys blue, and every week the Cowboys are getting their ass kicked, those fans operate in their lives with less morale. It's a fact, right? Like they're paying customers for you. Like you've got to understand that side of the deal. And it doesn't seem like Jerry Jones wants any part of that side of the deal. He just wants to keep making money.
But here's what Jerry doesn't understand. Because we've had this script before. We've had Jerry say, "Oh, well, we have other talented guys on the roster. That's why he didn't sign Derrick Henry last year." Like, yeah. "Oh, we like who we have in the building." He's going to give us that. If let's say Micah this afternoon demands a trade.
Yeah.
Jerry's going to be like, "Well, we've got tomorrow. We've got Overshown. We like our roster. We've got other guys. We don't need him." We've seen that before and it hasn't worked out. But here's the other thing that you just talked about, making money. The Cowboys are still the most valuable sports franchise in the world and the most watched NFL team in America. And they are one of the least successful teams over that course of period, at least in terms of playoff success.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the kind of money that would come to the Cowboys if they were winning playoff games on the regular, like the Patriots did for so long, like the Chiefs have been, like the Eagles have been? Can you imagine? Like this is a baseline for the Cowboys. The product on the field has been a constant disappointment. What would the money look like? What would the cultural impact look like if they won a Super Bowl? And Jerry, you do not win a Super Bowl by letting your best player walk because you're too prideful to negotiate with an agent. And bottom line, the other connecting piece in all of this, you're not going to be able to sign free agent talent if this is how you conduct business. The Cowboys have been relevant for so long because they have drafted very well for 15, 20 years. The Cowboys have drafted remarkably well. But you are not going to be able to sign a top-tier pass rusher off the open market, a number one cornerback off the market, if you deal with players like that, because no player wants to deal with you at this point. I mean, like on one hand.
Let me ask you one more question. And then I do want to hear about this wager you have.
Yeah, we're going to go into the weekend on a fun note, not on this
note.
Right,
so, but last question. This is not going to be fun for you. Because it's kind of scary. When you think about this, okay, when Jerry rides off into the sunset, like we all will someday, the team will go to Steven, I would imagine, or Charlotte Jones, but it's still going to be like Steven. I would imagine Steven will still run football. So like, this mindset isn't going anywhere. So if let's just say Micah holds out or defects or does what Diana Rossini is saying that he is kicking around doing, like, can finally something affect the Cowboys fan base to the point that they will stop paying money hand over fist to support this organization? Like, I think about when the Knicks bottomed out and there were like protests in the streets, right? Or even we saw recently with Nico Harrison and the Luka trade. Like, are the Cowboys untouchable? Like, or could they witness the same fate at some point?
They're untouchable, man. In my opinion,
yeah,
I don't see it happening, and that was kind of my point a little bit ago. Is
they're so nationwide, there's Cowboys fans everywhere, and they're paying money everywhere.
And you've had this little success in the postseason for 30 years, and you're still making more money than any other franchise in the NFL. I don't think that's ever going to change. I just can't fathom it. And you know what? That is the one thing that would motivate change for the Jones family, is if they started losing money. But the brand is just too valuable. The TV deals is just too much, and it's ingrained in the culture so much, which I love because I'm a Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
But I wish we'd win some dang playoff games. What I will say, I'd be curious on maybe Mosley's perspective on this. I think he's talked about this with us before. I've heard mixed reports on Stephen Jones, man, for years. There's a lot of people that think he's a lot sharper than Jerry, not just because he's younger and whatever, but because just in terms of football, we know the famous Zach Martin versus Johnny Manziel draft night story that was Stephen holding Jerry back. Like there's instances like that where I think I would have some slight optimism the day that Stephen takes over operations from Jerry. Not like full-throated, like, yeah, but like maybe a little optimism. I think Steven is maybe more likely to give a Will McClay or someone else more power over personnel decisions.
There, the truth agrees. He says, I like this too. Yeah, and so, I think, how about this?
I agree. Listen, my fanboy heart would explode, but this is I agree with Bear I agree with Bear the Truth. I don't want Sawyer playing if Sawyer Robertson is going to have to demand a trade because Jerry doesn't want to speak to his agent in 4 years. F that. I want Sawyer Robertson going to a franchise like the Steelers, like the Ravens, like the 49ers, like the Broncos. Like go to a franchise that for years has consistently done things the right way. Let's try that. Let's try that.